Warning. This podcast is about to open the sealed section of spirituality.
Hey you, yeah you, we see you, you divine human being.
And we are calling you to come home.
We are ready to talk about the real shit. We're going to get real about life as a divine human being.
The good, the not so great, spirituality and taboo. Divinely Human is the podcast that's all about what it means to be human in a spiritual context.
We know it's not just about being spiritual, it's about being human too.
And that means changing poopy nappies and channeling angels.
Sometimes even at the same time. It's time for us to stop making other people's noise our own soundtrack of life.
Let's make some waves together so that we can all ride them together and create deep resonance, a sense of home in this crazy world.
Pour yourself a coffee
Or a glass of wine if that's your potion.
and sit down with your new favorite spiritual sisters
As we go on a journey together into what it means to be
a divine human being.
on this spiritual journey. Hello and welcome to another week on the Divinely Human podcast. I'm Aleisha.
I'm Tanita.
And we are ready to jump into it today. We've kind of already started this episode already off record, and now we're just going to jump straight back into what we were just discussing. But yeah, we would love to. And you know what? Funnily enough, this has been coming up in, I don't know about you, but it's been coming up a lot in my community as well lately. Like even other people have been asking me about kind of how to imbue this kind of energy and execute it, but just authenticity and what that means in this space and what that looks like and how to really stay true to that, because in a space where we are told that, you know, it's so oversaturated, everyone's doing the same thing, like there's no point even getting into business in this realm because everyone's, you know, already done that thing. I just want to start a conversation about the fact that, well, no, I really disagree with that and think that there is always opportunity to share your own unique, you know, lens on what you want to do and how you want to help people. And this is still supposed to be the intro, but I've just jumped straight on there.
Go for it.
I'm going to let you speak, sister.
Yes, I was like, round of applause. No, honestly, I'm here for it. I'm here for this whole conversation because not only has it been coming up in my community, but I've also seen it come up from people who are kind of looking onto or into the community from the outside. And I've had a lot of my friends and family kind of comment on things lately. And it's really potent because, and it makes sense because we've just moved through this incredibly intense scorpionic eclipse and we're kind of feeling that there's nowhere to hide anymore from our shadow and the shadow of the industry that we're in. But it is interesting because we're seeing, you know, two perspectives. One perspective of people who are like, I want to be in this space because I feel like I can serve it, but I'm scared because I don't want to be associated with the energy of it right now. And there are other people who are in there and they're trying to alchemize that and shift it and help transform it and innovate the way that, you know, the direction in which it's going. So it's really fascinating because I've personally decided to close the doors to my business and start fresh. And I know that so many other people are on that same page. But in the same breath, I know that it's not a time to stop. It's actually more than ever the most amazing opportunity to really find that originality within and find that authentic nature that you have and share it in a way that's going to support the transformation of this industry for the better, right? Like it's time that we shift it for the better.
I agree with you there. I wholeheartedly agree with you there. And I think too, you know, sometimes just reflecting back on what you were saying about, you know, closing the doors on your own business, I feel like sometimes you do need to sort of have an ending of something to begin forging that path again from this space here, because what is authentic to you, you know, 5-10 years ago is not going to be, you know, the same sort of thing as, you know, what exists in your own truth today. So I feel like that's a really important aspect as well to touch on, you know, the fear of failure. Like it's not failure. It's not actually like the closing down of something. It's actually the beginning of something brand new and exciting, and something that is probably more aligned to where you're at right now. And I've had this conversation with numerous people the last few months about it too, about this fear of pivoting and this fear of reevaluating what is authentic to them at this point in time, especially after, you know, the last few years and everything that we've all been through as a society. I think that there is a lot of new ideologies of what is actually important to people, and people's purposes have really been refined in that time, and now we're wanting to sort of step out and share that authentically now with people. So for some people that might look like rebranding, and might look like closing down an aspect of their business and beginning another aspect and sharing that. Like it's not like the ending, it's just a metamorphosis into something that aligns on a deeper level with them, and obviously what they're being called to share with the community as well, which I think is really important. But I do agree. I think that it is so, so vital that we understand our own unique place in this intricate web that is this spiritual realm. And not just that, but expanding it out into, I just want to speak on behalf of all small businesses right now, not just in the spiritual realm. Like if you are a small business owner, I'm speaking to you when I say that there is such a space for you, and it is not oversaturated, and there's always opportunity to think for yourself and create something that is not like anyone else's work, that is, you know, entirely just from your own heart and not based off, you know, something else that you've seen.
Yes. Can we just rewind and highlight especially that last little bit there? But no, yes, fuck yes. Because look, this is Tanita in financial planning talking, but there is a lot of scarcity in the financial market right now, especially, I mean, no matter where you're living right now, the financial market looks really glim. It looks really scary. And we're actually going to be seeing a massive increase in people launching new side hustles, launching small businesses. Now is definitely the time to support your community in their endeavor to put their gifts and their talents and what they know out into the world. And with this rise, we are going to see a lot more copycatters coming into play. We're going to see people who are really trying to create some financial stability through their side hustle or through their business. And by doing that, they're going to be putting out offers that maybe aren't coming from the best place in terms of like wanting to serve, but they're actually just wanting to create financial security for themselves. And the easiest way to do that is by copying somebody else's blueprint. So I want to invite anybody who's wanting to either take another step in this industry or pivot or change or whatever, see where you can anchor deeper into your mission, your authenticity, because that's what's going to stand out. And we've seen it already. We've had this cycle happen time and time again in terms of an influx of people coming into a particular industry and seeing who stands out. The people that always stand out are the people that actually serve their clients, because not only are you trying to make a one sale of one person, you're actually trying to build a community. Like, we're trying to build a mission. We're here to support the expansions of consciousness on earth, right? We're not just here to make money. Money is really important for our business, but if you want to go deep in this, that's the way to do it, in my opinion. What do you reckon?
Oh, I so agree with you. And when you see someone who, you know, runs a small business and they're successful and they're like thriving and they're, you know, growing their community and they're just bustling. Well, I've got 2 points here. One, it's not always as it seems. Like, yes, majority of people aren't going to share their vulnerable moments and their failures or whatever it is they're struggling with. And two, you can try and replicate that as much as you want, but it's the energy behind it. And we've spoken about this before. I know that we spoke a lot about this in the 3-day boot camp that we did, the business boot camp. But I want to reiterate this right now.
By the way.
Yes. Honestly, I feel like it's almost like we're kind of getting to the point where it's time for boot camp 2.0, like redo it, but in this new fiery way. Because I feel like, in a sense, we were kind of both still like, I feel like there's an opportunity there to sort of be a little bit more fiery, because I know that since then we've both moved through so much. Like, we have had the biggest personal transformations the last year, you know,
the past week, let alone past year. I mean, our whole codes have changed. They really truly have, and that's not even an exaggeration. Like, there's so much more to talk about, you know.
Thanks, eclipse season. But you can replicate, you can copy and paste something, but the momentum, the energetic resonance and momentum behind that is not going to apply to you, because you are not that person. It's like trying to align, I don't know, like the frequency of Mozart to, I don't know, Michael Jackson. They're two different things, but they're both fucking icons, but you just can't put them together because they're different. Like, no one takes from the other. Like, they're both incredible in their own right, but you can't apply one frequency to the other, right? And that is what I've been seeing a lot of in this space. It's happened to me countless times. It's still happening to me. I see people launching stuff that is way too similar to what I'm doing, and it's a bit obvious. But not just me. I've had people not contact me, but like start conversations with me. Bit of a rephrase. Regarding this same thing. They're like, oh, I just feel so disheartened. I feel like I had this really incredible idea and I shared it, and now someone's gone and ran with it. And I'm like, you just got to stay true to you and keep sharing your codes, because it's rife in this community at the moment, and it's really disheartening when it does happen, because you feel like, well, fuck, well, I may as well just not share it at all. But I urge you to still share your codes, because there is that resonance attached to those things that are your unique idea, that are from this heart space of yours. People can take them, people can share them, people can try and replicate them, but they are never going to come through with the same resonance as if it were coming from your heart space. So
yeah, I love that. And, you know, I listened to a podcast by Erin May Henry, must have been at least over 6 months ago now. And she's like, you know, originality is dead, and what she meant by that is you are never going to have such an original idea that it's not going to in some way, shape or form replicate or lean into or shine a light on somebody else's idea. But what I would want to add on to that is innovation is so original, and you can take an idea or a calling or some sort of inspiration from somebody, but what we're really asking of everybody right now is that innovation is at the forefront of your mind. And not only that, but how can you serve your community in the way that you were uniquely designed to, right? And so we're not saying like, don't go and start a hypnosis business or a meditation business or a Reiki business. Like, these are all incredible ways of serving your community if you've trained yourself in that. But what you can do is innovate the way that you deliver that to your client, provide a unique, perspective on it, a different way to support them in that particular method that actually allows you to stand out. I think, yes, I totally understand the sadness and the heartache and the frustration that comes when somebody copies your offer. But for me, I always see that as just a beautiful opportunity for one, you to tap deeper into the faith that you have, not only in yourself, but your business and your own connection to source energy. But two, here's your opportunity to innovate that and stand out from the crowd and do something that's a little bit different, to find your own flow. And so, yeah, I totally honor and respect the emotions that come with seeing that a big influx of people doing the same thing. But also I think it's a really great opportunity to find and also heal that part of you that wants to be the good girl and do everything right and blend into the crowd. And we've both been through that journey, Aleisha and I think we're still going through it, but it is so fucking liberating to not give a shit about standing out and being seen. And that only comes with trial and error. For me, it did anyway.
And challenge, challenge,
Yeah.
having to come back to the drawing board and ask yourself, okay, how much more deeply can I travel into myself? How far can I go with the innovation of, what I'm creating and weaving here and sharing with my community? I love that. I love what you said about it being an invitation rather than like a letdown, because it's a good way to rephrase it without entirely abandoning, the fact of what's happened or where how you might feel. It's like I see you, girl. Like, this is me talking to me. I see you, girl, but how much deeper can you go with this? Like, in what ways can you bring through even more authenticity and more you in what you're sharing with your community? I think that it's motivating in a way as well. The challenges that we face in business and that feeling of, wow, I feel like the whole world's doing this now. It's a really good challenge to be faced with, because it does bring so much opportunity for growth and self-reflection and kind of like what you were saying, like that sense of embodiment and like freedom, because you kind of are forced out of this shell. Like, the pressure becomes so much that you're like, okay, something has to change here. I'm just gonna like squeeze myself out of the shell and then find a new one that is even more aligned. So I agree with that. I think that it is empowering in a way as well. So
yeah, you definitely go through many growth periods, right? And I always like look back at my own journey. I'm like, fuck, if only she knew where we would be. Like, we have no idea really where we're going or who we're gonna like morph into. It really is just about trying not to let the challenges and the overwhelm overcome you, but how can you really pursue forward and transform and alchemize it into gold, or into at least just a lesson for you to learn. Because if you're going to start a business, there's challenges that are going to come. I mean, you're going to doubt yourself, you're going to question everything, and that's normal. It's so normal. And my heart breaks for those who get overwhelmed by the amount of copycatters out there and scams. Like, there's so much. But I think if we continue to stick together as a community, we can rise together. And the thing is, it's not competition out there. It's such an amazing opportunity for collaboration. It's such an amazing opportunity to watch our sisters rise. I know Aleisha and I were talking about this just on the weekend. Like, our ancestors would be pissed if they saw us like clawing at each other and trying to, drive more sales than one another. They'd be like, girl, you have your own business. You have freedom. Why aren't you supporting one another? And I think this is just the best time to have a business and support each other rather than tearing each other down and copying each other's offers. Like, it really frustrates me, to be honest. But again, beautiful opportunity awaits here for us all.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a huge moment of reflection. And as well, I feel like sometimes it does push you to actually completely overhaul your whole business when it gets to that point where you're like, oh my God. But then it kind of brings you closer to what you feel like your truth is at that moment. And you're like, actually, do you know what? I'm glad this happened. For some people, they might feel like they don't want to do that anymore, and they do want to shift it. And maybe that did take something like that to enable and invite that shift into their business to make those changes. And kind of it can act as a redirection, I believe, in a way, because it kind of, when something feels like it's threatened, and I don't say that in like a, oh my God, I hate these people. It's like, it's more like a, oh wow, like I feel a bit uncomfortable about this. So I'm just going to use the word threatened to describe it because I can't think of a better one. But when you're feeling like that, it does kind of, you reevaluate everything about what you're sharing. And sometimes when you actually come back to it, for some people, they're like, oh, well, I kind of lost the spark for that anyway. So why don't we just shift into something that feels better for me? Would you agree with that?
Yes, 100%. Follow the fire when in doubt. Like, it's so important. And I think because we are in the business of building, you know, not only something that creates money, but something that is an extension of our soul and our true energy source, I think it's so important to meet discipline and structure and systems with that fire, with the passion, with the spark, because that is what energizes us. And like, I laugh because I was sending out an email about, you know, I'm closing the doors to my business, and I got my fiance to look over it. God bless his little cotton socks. He's like, why are you saying that you're closing your business? Like, you're just saying that it's a failure. And I'm like, but I really don't see it that way. I see it as a beautiful opportunity to alchemize something that I couldn't see myself in anymore. I just didn't recognize myself in that business anymore. There was no part of me that wanted to show up. And I think the difference that, you know, I've learned from my own experience of closing down this business and starting something new is that differentiation between something's really not aligned for me and I'm just shit scared and I don't want to do something. And that has been a potent lesson. And it's only something that you can go through yourself and understand what that feels like in your own body, I believe anyway, because there's a lot of people out there who are just scared and they don't want to show up. And so they're like, you know what, it's like, it's too hard, I don't want to do it. But then there are other people out there who truly it isn't aligned for them to be doing what they're doing anymore, or there's tweaks to be made to help them support in that just authentic energy source being delivered out into the universe. And so I think that's an important perspective to kind of understand in your own energy codes and own energy system.
Yeah, I'm interested to know, like, for you, like the kind of the realization of wanting to realign what you're doing, was that a very instantaneous thing, or did you find that it was like a very slow kind of leaking of like energy coming in through and then finally realizing, like, how was the transition for you getting to that point?
It was really long. It felt like a really long, slow burn. And that's why I went through and I rebranded my whole business. I tried playing with different, I'm a creative at heart. I tried playing with like different colors, and I thought maybe this will inspire me. Maybe I'll try kind of reinvigorating it that way. But even after that, I felt myself finding excuses not to work on it, in terms of like, well, if I do it, then it just felt like so much more work and something that I wasn't excited about doing. And at the core of my business, I'm here to help people. And if I'm not willing to show up 1000%, what is the point? Like, it's not a money maker for me. It's a part of my soul's mission. And so I really spent so much time understanding, what have I learned in this business? And is there anything else for me to learn here? Is there any way for me to continue this expansion of my purpose? But I really felt like I had closed that chapter. I'd learned everything that I needed to, and I saw a much bigger mission being played out that wasn't a part of that business anymore. And it was just a lot of internal work. The decision to close it, and like from actually being like, you know what, I'm ready, and sending out that email, was within a couple of weeks. But the thought of like, I really am just not wanting to do this anymore, it's not in my purpose to do this anymore, had been there for quite a while, you know?
Yeah. And did you find that you were getting like a lot of motivation and inspiration for this next path coming through too? Were you like, what the hell is this? What's going on? Like, Okay. Like,
yes. And it's so funny because like I'd been ignoring it because of that shit scared feeling. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to be seen in a whole new way. I'm going to have to like start from scratch. Like no fucking way. I don't want to do that. But you messaged me about a particular thing. I had my sister-in-law message me about something, and I'd been seeing that a lot of my conversations with my clients were revolving around one particular topic. Mm-hmm. I was like, there's a common thread here, and it's actually not what my business was built on. And I want this new business venture to have a different energy source. I want it to have its own unique codes. It's its own expression. It's a new chapter. So I want to give it the opportunity to kind of grow in that capacity. But I think it's funny because there is always a common thread. It's just whether or not you're willing to accept it.
Yeah. And if you're not sort of releasing the grapple on this past ideology of what you feel like you want to be doing, what you should be doing, just showing up, just keep showing up. Like if you just can't let go, then you can't let it come through and settle into your, you know, energetic realm itself to sort of begin to grow in a way. And I feel like that email too that you sent out would have been like a really big release moment for you.
Yes, it was. And
because I'm subscribed and I opened that email and I saw it come through and I saw the subject line and I was like, oh, like I opened it and I was reading it and I was like, oh my God. But I felt so happy for you. I did shed a tear, but I felt so excited and happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, my phone literally blew up. I sent that email and then I was like rushing off to go do the next thing. And the universe was like, no, you need to like sit down and deal with this. But it actually came off the back of my surgery. Like, you know, it's just been such a shedding and such a release of everything that isn't aligned. And I'm not the only one who's going through this. We collectively are shedding the parts of us that we don't need anymore, the parts of us that have been healed and are ready to kind of support us in that next chapter. And I know so many people, you included, who are rebranding, who are figuring out who they are in this next evolution. And that's why, like, I totally get it's scary, but it's such an exciting time. Like, there's so much opportunity. More people are going to be looking at small businesses for support. They're going to be buying small, buying local, and it's just going to be a really enriching time if we let it be. But again, that support is so needed on that next part of our journey as a collective, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, we're in the fucking age of Aquarius now. So everything is so rooted in carving your own path. I keep on hearing that song in my head. You can go your own way.
Yes, I love that.
It just started playing in my head just now. But I feel like that's what this time is for everybody, especially, and I, like, it is for everybody, but especially for small business owners. It is a time of renewal and a huge opportunity is being given to us. And I know that so many people are worried. I know so many small business owners are so worried about, you know, like a looming recession that's going on. And they're like, oh my God, I'm going to have no one spending money. But the thing is that like all the big guys, like the big players are all too fucking expensive. So like we need to start, you know, working with smaller businesses and putting our money into them and supporting them, because that's what keeps us afloat. And we know that we're not being ripped off, right? So I feel like we should be scared as a small business, but I feel like we should feel motivated because more people are going to start turning to small businesses. And maybe this is, I don't know, just hanging on by a whim here, but maybe this is happening so that more people kind of jump into it and take that leap into creating something and offering it because they're kind of forced into that side hustle and then realize that they're actually so much happier doing that and creating from their hearts instead of just, showing up somewhere where, it may not feel aligned for you anymore. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And, the advice with the financial market is keep your stuff in cash. So as much as you might think that there's not as much cash floating around, a lot more people are going to be holding more cash than they have been for a long time. And a lot of that is going to be going towards tangible businesses that are here to help and that are going to be providing a really solid return on investment in terms of services and products. And so you as a small business owner, the only thing that you got to be worried about is how can I serve people and communicate what I'm offering and how it's going to impact them. Not talking about persuasive marketing. I'm talking about we each genuinely have a service that's here to support people or a product that's here to support people, especially in the spiritual, based community. So how can we share that with more of effective communication? And yeah, I'm excited for people. I really am. And I know that that's going to be a very differing opinion because of everything that's kind of being spun out at the moment. But this is an important conversation. It really, truly is. And if anything, take away the fact that now, if any, is a time to deepen your authentic expression and find a way to work with that in your business. What's something that you want everybody to know from this conversation? Little takeaway.
It's a good question. I'm like, all of it. But
yeah. Of course.
Every word, especially the last 2 minutes that you were just talking, I was just glued to what you were saying. I'm like, tell me more about what we should be doing financially. Honestly, I just want people to feel, if they're going to take away one thing, my lens is that I would love you to walk away from listening to this today being really confident in your place in this space and knowing that you are so needed and there is so much room for you here always to create and share your own unique codes. Don't ever think that there's no space for you here, because there is. So hold that one with you and remember that.
Yeah, you know what we should do with that? We should clip it up and you guys can just listen to it on repeat as you get ready in the morning. You are safe here. You are welcome. There is space for you. I love that.
I should have said that in my meditation voice. Sorry, guys.
Yes, literally. We'll put some calming music in the background. Oh, guys, this has been such a good conversation. We hope and pray that the video quality is up to scratch. Fuck, man. Tech is just been so hard lately, but we're still kicking. We're still on all of the channels. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, everywhere that you find the major podcast platforms. We always drop 9 a.m. Monday morning. So if you know anybody who would resonate with this conversation, if you know a fellow sister or brother in business and you want them to feel confident and supported and seen, please share this with them. We really want to support you guys as much as we possibly can. And we deserve the support. Tag us. Yes, please tag us and we'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Ooh.
Hey.